Attention book lovers and literary enthusiasts. Mark your calendars for an unforgettable celebration of storytelling and community. The ICU Reading Literary Experience, powered by Bray, is coming to Detroit, Michigan on Saturday, August 23rd, 2025. Prepare for an exciting day filled with author meet and greets, book signings, and immersive panel discussions designed to enrich your literary experience. Whether you're a devoted reader, a budding writer, or someone who simply loves a good story, this experience is for you. Together, we'll celebrate the power of words and the connections they create. Join us in Detroit for the ICU Reading Literary Experience, powered by Bray, where literature, creativity, and culture collide. Save the date, spread the word, and I see you there. Hey everybody, listen, y'all seen all them good videos. Y'all see that ICU Reading Literary Experience event coming up this summer. I hope you were paying attention, and I hope that you are planning to grab up your tickets off of Eventbrite to come out and celebrate books, because that's also what we're doing tonight. Tonight is book banter. We have an awesome guest in the virtual world with us on tonight. All the people are actually ready. Okay, so I see y'all in the chat. Apparently, this is a man who has a message, and the people are ready to hear it. So we've got quite a few folks that's already here, ready for the conversation with author S.L. Jackson. I don't know why I was about to say something else, but I was thinking about Samuel. But either way, y'all, we are in the building on tonight. We are ready for some conversation about accountability. Okay, so he is here with his novel, Your Problem. And we're going to dive into some conversation. I've had an opportunity to finish the novel. It's a quick read, but it is super informative. And before we go into our conversation, everything, I do want to thank everyone who was here on the live with us. I looks like I got Macho that's here. So thank you for tuning in. Jay Johnson is here. Thank you for tuning in. Hostel One is in the building. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure that you share, like, and subscribe to Tam Telling Tales so that you all will know when we have more conversations like this with authors like S.L. Jackson. So, everyone, we're going to go ahead and we are going to tell you just a little bit about our guest for tonight. So we're going to bring up a photo of him while you guys listen in on his bio. I want him to be full screen. So I'm going to just take me out the equation so y'all can just focus on our author. S.L. Jackson is a critically acclaimed, award-winning author whose bold storytelling spans fantasy, true crime, self-help, and children's literature. Known for writing with unapologetic honesty and emotional depth, Jackson has carved out a space for stories that are raw, reflective, and rooted in real life. His debut novella, Animal Instincts, The Urban Jungle, won acclaim in 2020 for its gripping blend of fantasy and urban realism. In 2022, he followed up with Justice for Nikisha, A Father's Pain, a powerful true crime narrative that explored loss, justice, and the emotional aftermath of violence through the lens of fatherhood. Showing his range as a writer and a father, Jackson co authors the beloved children's book series, The Adventures of Shelby Sunshine, with his daughter, delivering positive, culturally rich stories for young readers. His latest work, Your Problem, A Path to Accountability and Self Healing, is a deeply personal call to action, urging readers to confront their own cycles, take ownership of their healing, and stop waiting for someone else to change what they won't face. Through this work, Jackson proves he's not just writing books, he's writing blueprints for transformation. Whether speaking to grown adults in survival mode or children in discovery mode, S.L. Jackson brings truth to the page and purpose to the pen. So, everyone, without further ado, please welcome to the show author S.L. Jackson. Ah,
Yeah,
I,
hey, how y'all
I did
doing?
one of those little things,
Yes,
little pause things.
yeah. How you doing today?
I'm doing good tonight. How you?
I can't complain. I'm doing great.
Good. Well, listen. We gonna talk about you. I promise we gonna talk about you tonight, right? But
Definitely.
um, you know, Shelby is Shelby my boo, okay? And so the last time I saw Shelby, she was on book three. She was doing the things, and I'm just curious, how is Shelby doing?
Well, Shelby doing excellent. Actually, the last time you saw her, I had introduced her to Mike Jeffries, and he was getting ready to put together a movie, and she ended up being that in that movie. And that movie is actually Bad Day, which is available on Amazon right now. It just came out. And then from Bad Day, she got another job. In that other job, she's in a series coming out called Unknown. So we kind of took some time away from writing the book so she could get her acting thing going. Anybody interested in Shelby, like the whole world is, they could go to everythingshelby.com. We launched a cosmetic line since the last time we seen you. So she got cosmetic products. She just finished school, all A's the whole year. She's going
Yes,
into fourth
Shelby.
grade. So I'm real proud of her. I'm real happy that she achieving knocking these things off her list before she even a decade old. So and then we set another goal that we go win a high school basketball championship by the time she graduate with me
Yeah.
coaching and her playing. So I'm just getting her ready, preparing her for that because it's gonna be a minute before she get to high school. So I got to get her ready for that. And then on my end of getting my coaching resume up. So I'm so proud of her. Is words can't even explain.
Oh my goodness. I knew you was proud because the way you told this story about the way that she was conceived in the book, I
Yeah,
said, "Oh, this
creation.
is the proud daddy right here."
Yeah, creation.
Uh-huh. This a proud daddy right here. And she was such a sweet joy to interview. So I had to make sure I checked in to see how she was doing. Please tell her I said hi.
Oh, I definitely will. She probably not watching now because she had to get her hair rebraided because she got some stuff to do tomorrow. But she watched all my interviews. She would normally be right here with me. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well, yes, definitely pass that along for me. And so now we get to talk about you. Okay. All right. We have to get some, really important things and conversations out the way first. You know what I mean?
definitely,
So I always start off the show with a game of preferences. So this is real easy. You just tell me which one you prefer out of the ones that I say. Now, if you choose not to answer the question, like it's just too hard and uh, I don't want to, then you got to do something. Now, usually, I will make people like take shots. You know what I mean? If it was like in person and stuff like that. But a lot of people's on their health kick and things, and so they don't be wanting to drink no more. So I'm like, okay, but I make people sing now. Okay, and I got a special song that I make the people sing. And
don't have me bust a note. I was in the choir before. You feel me?
listen, you got the vocals. I'll put them to the test now. Don't play. I'll put them to the test. I ain't even gonna tell you what the song is. Hopefully, you just answer the questions. If I mess around, I have to tell you this song though. You gonna answer the question. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. I'm
Okay.
ready.
So we're gonna go here. We're gonna play the game. Boom. Here we go. Oh, you're not from Detroit though, so let me.
I'm from Inkster.
You from Easton, so I can't
Yeah,
ask you this question,
the,
but I
the,
can't ask you this. Squeeze a sliced cheese on
no
the
cheese at
chicken
all.
side. What?
No cheese at all.
You know what? Interview over. What? Okay. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Happy hour at a bar or movie night at home.
Movie night at home.
Formal or casual wear.
Casual.
Would you prefer to write when it's quiet or with music playing?
I do both. I do both. Both of them is equally important to me.
Oh, okay. So, this is how this gonna go. You either pick one or the other, or you got to sing.
No music. No music.
Oh, okay. Okay. Dang. I mean, you could have sung. Yeah. Okay. Coffee or tea?
T.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone. No green bubbles. Word to Jay Johnson.
Okay. I mean, I got an iPhone, so I mean that's fine. Laptop or desktop computer?
Laptop.
Okay. A drop top or SUV?
SUV.
Mm. Writing or reading?
Mm.
Mm. You about to me.
Reading.
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 Okay. Okay. I thought I almost had you. Okay, so when you read, would you prefer a paperback or e-read?
Paperback, definitely.
Okay, see, you know what? I'm most like this, so I like a paperback. Um, Watch a sitcom or a crime drama.
Crime drama.
Okay. Aretha Franklin or Patti LaBelle.
Patti LaBelle.
Oh, okay. Jay Z or Nas.
Nas.
Okay. LeBron James or Kobe Bryant.
Kobe. A lifelong Laker. I'm a lifelong Laker.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Frosted Flakes or Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. No milk.
Who? Okay. What you gonna
No dairy. No less dairy as possible. Milk is definitely not on the table.
Okay. Okay. So what? Like a little coconut milk, oat
No.
milk,
If I eat cereal, it's no milk. No milk
straight out
involved.
the box, dry.
Straight out the box. Yeah.
Ew. Okay. um, Tubi or Netflix.
Tubi, definitely.
Okay. Um. Oh, okay. I'm about to take it back. This old school. You not as old as me, but you still might recall this because you got them good old memories with your grandparents and stuff, right? So, in the heat of the night or Little House on the Prairie.
In the heat of the night.
Come on, then. What? Yes.
In the
Okay.
heat of the night. Yeah.
Listen, and after this, we're gonna go to this comment section because I see y'all over here, and I don't know how I feel about some of these answers that I'm seeing, but I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay. Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Okay, road trip or a flight?
Flight.
Pumpkin or sweet potato pie?
So, I don't know one person in the history of the world that eats pumpkin pie.
I've had guests who eat the pumpkin pie.
I was definitely sweet potato pie. Yeah.
Just so you know. Okay. A call or a text?
Call.
Call. Okay. Well, here's your last question, so that I can go talk to the people in the chat because I feel like I gotta have a conversation with them tonight too. Last question. Tam Telling Tales or Tam Telling Tales?
Tam Telling Tales.
Hey, there you go. All right. All right. All right. Good game, sir. Good game.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're gonna have a little bit more of a conversation about this dry cereal because
Just try it. Just try it.
Mr. Baldwin that came through talking about straight out the box.
Straight out the box. Word to Pong. What's up, Pong?
Pong, sir. Uh, okay. But y'all gonna drink some water afterwards, right? Cause ain't your throat gonna be dry?
Maybe
Just
some juice or something, but I'm just not a fan of milk.
okay. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, I'm not gonna press the issue anymore. All right. So,
I can tell you like cheese and milk.
no, I ain't even saying that. See, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying I don't know what else you even eat cereal with. Like water just seems like ew, you know? So okay. But either way, we want to thank everybody who is in the chat chiming in with us. So Pond and said hey. And what up, though, to his fam. So thank you so much for tuning in. For all of you all who are just checking in with us, we are here for Book Banter with author S.L. Jackson. You guys, we're going to be discussing his most recent book, Your Problem. Okay, so this book is going to be about accountability and self healing. And so we're going to dive into some conversation about that on this evening, everyone. So, if you do have some questions, then make sure that you put them in the chat, So I'm going to be scrolling and making sure that I get them up and get them answered. So if you have read the book already and you had some questions, then for sure go ahead and put that in the chat. And if you have some comments, then you guys go ahead and put that in the chat. We're going to talk tonight. Okay?
For
We're going to
sure,
have
for sure. Yeah,
a good
I'm an
discussion
open book.
on.
So I'm an open book.
Yes, I can tell. It's nothing like having some good conversation on a weekday. Okay. And so we're definitely here to do that. And so I want to start off before we dive completely into our specific book for the night. I want to talk about you as an author in general, right? So tell us about the the moment when you said I'm writing a book and what that book was and what it was about.
So my first published works came about in 2020, Animal Instinct: The Urban Jungle. But Animal Instinct: The Urban Jungle, which was a fantasy novella, an award-winning fantasy novella, that came from my very first creative writing story in the third or fourth grade when I was a child, and we had a creative writing assignment. I took pieces of that pieces of that stayed in my heart, not my brain, in my heart. So like leaps and jumps, I had those names, the bunny hop house. I had all of these things that I wanted to talk about in the book. And the book is basically it's about twin rabbits whose parents were murdered and they had to avenge their parents' murder, but they were raised in the jungle. In the jungle, they was raised in the jungle by friends of their parents, and obviously I'm an identical twin. That's where the idea of the leaps and jumps came. But I did so much more with the book. So I took the book from an award-winning novella, the ELIT 2020 Gold Medal Award is what it won, and then my brother and I turned that book into an award-winning anime full-length film that you could actually watch on Tubi that's called Animal Instinct: The Urban Jungle Animated. And then we also released apps that were games following the book. So we have Animal Instinct Puzzle, which is a Candy Crush style game, and then we have Animal Instinct Racing, which is a Mario go-kart racing style game. And Animal Instinct it still holds a close place in my heart right now because I just sat down at the computer and I decided that I wanted to write, but I didn't want to write urban fiction because that's what someone would expect from my background. And I'm so creative. I didn't think that would be a creative challenge. So I just put the animals in the jungle. So when you see rabbits and deer and you see all these animals outside, you don't know what they got going on. And the twin rabbits are actually mushroom dealers. And this was 2020 when I was talking about this. Now, if you look at the world is mushroom crazy right now. So I was ahead of the curve with that, and it's just a real story. Animal Instinct 2, A Tale of Two Jungles. I already have that ready. I'm just waiting to release that because again, I'm building my author profile. So I'm actually an award-winning author in two different genres, but I'm a author in four different genres. My second book that I released was Justice for Nikisha, A Father's Pain, which I co-authored with Calvin Hawkins. He's a brother out of Michigan City, Indiana. His daughter Nikisha was murdered, and this is a hard. This book was really hard for me to write because it was it was things that he would tell me about his relationship with his daughter, and then I would be going through those same things. So like one day when we was talking, he was telling me about Nikisha graduating kindergarten, and then like 3 days later, Shelby was graduating kindergarten. But Calvin became an actual brother through that. But if you, it's actually a series on Hulu called Web of Death, and episode 5 is called Facebook Live, and it's actually about the story of Nikisha Hawkins. So anybody who haven't read the book, I would suggest that you read the book. If you don't have time to read the book, I would suggest you go to Hulu, go to the series Web of Death, and watch episode 5, Facebook Live. And since we're talking about that, we are actually in the midst of developing a documentary about Calvin after he released the book and everything that's been going on. His life took a real positive spin. It's people in the book who were so against him. Now they're somewhat allies, but you know, we don't really trust that. But it's a lot going on. And then Shelby and I, once Shelby seen me write, and she decided that she wanted to become an author, so we started penning her series, The Adventures of Shelby Sunshine, and we 3 books in on that series. We haven't wrote one in a while because all of the great things that she's been doing, but
Mm-hmm.
the first one is about a family vacation, then the next one is her going to kindergarten, then the next one is her going to second grade or first grade, I think. But now that she's older, she has more say so in the stories that she could tell. And I'm really anxious about her and I writing this one because now I get to fall back and play co-author and I get to let her lead the ship. So, and then I arrived at You're Your Problem, a path to accountability and self-healing.
Now you know what? You gave us a lot, right? And I feel like when I was reading the bio, I wanted to know about the app. I wanted to know about the anime. Okay, so I'm gonna just add that into the bio reference.
Well, that's my author
But
bio.
that,
That's just
but
that.
yeah, but I mean, I think that is just so dope, especially the anime that's already streaming. So,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely
I
check
love
it
the
out. Yeah.
exclusive worlds. You know what I mean? So we got the book world, we have the storytelling on screen world. So
Well,
that.
Animal Instinct is a universe. Like we got merch. I got action figures. I got stuffies. I got everything locked and loaded. That's actually my gift to my daughter. That when I'm gone, she can always make money off of that because whatever the time costs for it, it's already in production. All she got to do is put it out. So that's my gift to my daughter and my nieces and my nephew because the book was me. Then me and my brother collaborated on the merch, the movie, and all that. I mean, the anime feature film and all of that. So that's like our universe. That's a gift to our. That's our generational wealth to the
I love
family.
this so much. And the folks in the chat do too. They like work out here. And Caitlin, she says she's downloading Animal Instincts right now. Because you done sold that thing, sir.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Listen, these rabbits
Yeah, leaps and jumps.
dealing
Like
mushrooms.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't wait for people to read part 2. Like part 2, when I was writing that, like I wrote it from a cinematic point of view because I already seen the vision of what it is and what the part 2 will become like. So I'm not sure when I will release that, but it's like it's part 2 is just something special. Like it's just a bigger feel to it. It's just a bigger feel. I got animals in there that people probably never heard of, you know, and I don't want to give those animals away. And then the storyline is like the kid, the parents, all the parents are gone, and you know some kids not go follow the path that they. Some people want some power in that and feel
Mhm.
like they deserve it just as much as leaps and jumps got it, because not leaps and jumps, the old heads. So somebody, some close people, some close animals try to challenge that. But Animal Instincts, though, what I will say is like, so the characters in Animal Instincts are actually based off of people that was in my life. So it's a dove, and his name is, when he's a white dove, his name is Sed, but he turns into a black dove somehow, and his name is Black. And those two are my cousins. Both of them passed away. It's a fox in there. Her name is Groovy, and that's based on my auntie, one of my great aunties, and then the boxers, Hera and Zeus, the dogs, they're boxers, but those were my real dogs growing up, Hera and Zeus. So it's like it's a lot of real life in there, but then it's a
Mhm.
lot of like it's a real story. It's just in an animal world.
Yes, it's fantasy,
Yeah,
but
fantasy,
based off
fantasy.
the real world. Is that
Yeah. And
okay?
at one point I was saying urban fantasy, but urban just mean black in these worlds that we in. So it's not urban fantasy, it's real fantasy. So I took the urban fantasy, the urban part off of it because I don't want to pigeonhole myself and someone just thinking, oh, it's black fantasy. No, it's real fantasy and anybody can enjoy it.
And I thought it was very interesting when you said that urban, you didn't want to be necessarily boxing in with urban per se because that is what they would expect from you, right?
Right. Now I do have a urban fiction book in a tuck, and it's called The Making of a Madam, and it's actually it's a lot of family history in there because my family, my mother's last name is Legion, and so it's about a relationship between my mom and her auntie, but in the book they're cousins, and like it's dope. It's like it's the making of a madam. You know what a madam is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if anybody ever read or listened to the Iceberg Slim book, Pimp Story of My Life, in
Mm-hmm.
that book, he mentions a guy named Silas, his pimp partner named Silas. Well, Silas is my great grandfather in real life. You know
Oh
what
wow.
I'm saying? So I just took stories that I knew about my auntie Myra. She resting in peace right now. But my auntie Myra was like, she come through the family function, mink to the floor with her name stitched in it, and so she got some stories that I got some stories from my mom, and I just took those stories and I took things I knew about my mother and I just fused them together, and I that's an urban fiction, but it's a lot of family history in there that's real.
I got you. I got you. So it sounds like you have definitely written in that fictional world, but you transitioned a bit when it comes to the book that we'll be discussing in more detail tonight, which is your problem. So I'm curious, what made you decide to do a nonfiction book like this one?
Well, it's all real, and I've been going through a lot of things since my father died November 3rd, 2024, and it was just like a downhill spiral from there with just life. Everything that could have possibly came at me. So I like to say it is like if somebody say, "Oh, if I could start over, I wish I knew then what I knew now." I'm at that starting point. I get to start from zero. So one day I went to work. They didn't call us and tell us that we didn't have no work, and I came home and I was actually on the computer that I don't write on, and I just started writing the outline. So that may have been May 16th. May 17th, I called off of work and I got busy. I got my pen to going after I went off my outline. By May 18th, it was done. By May 23rd, it was out, and it's all real. It's not. I'm not telling anybody else's stories because if people are familiar with the self-help genre, a lot of these people they be telling you that they got this story from here or somebody told them a story. It's all me, and I'm taking accountability, and I'm realizing at certain points in my life where things went wrong and I didn't take accountability or I didn't own up to things that I was doing that actually once I sat back and like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why that happened. So the book is just me taking personal accountability, and it's from a real standpoint. It's not what somebody else said they took accountability for, because you never know if these stories are real, but mine is all real. I just give it from my perspective. In the book, I never mention my twin brother's perspective. I never mention my older sister's perspective. I mention it the way I seen it and the way it felt for me, because two people could be watching the exact same movie and get two totally different things out of it.
Yes.
So I just gave it from my perspective of how I felt, where I felt I went wrong, and taking accountability and what that actually means, just owning up to it. And self-healing, what people don't what I've noticed when people say that they're self-healing, they look for validation in other people to say, oh, he's healing or she's healing. Like, my healing might make me a worse person toward you because now I understand more and I understand the boundaries that I didn't have in the things that I let you get away with. So
Mhm.
during my self-healing, that don't actually mean I'm gonna be a better person toward anybody. I'm gonna be a better me for me in my world. I'm the main character in this. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm understanding how to be a better main character. The only person that I can definitely say that I'm gonna be a better person to is my daughter. Other than that, however anybody take, however they feel about what they read, if they were involved in it, I don't care. It's about me being a better person so I could be a better father. And that's the mission, because that's the best name I ever had was dad.
Absolutely. And I think reading through it, you take accountability in the book and just the writing of it. You know, like you said, you didn't take stories from other people, something you saw on the internet, but you actually took stories about your upbringing. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing, I'm just throwing this out here and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It also seemed like writing the book was therapeutic because, you know, your father leaving here wasn't that long ago. And so it seems like it's probably something that's helped you through that grieving process.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm an advocate for therapy. I think people should go to therapy or at least talk to someone without judgment. And I stopped going to therapy and I stopped smoking weed, and I wanted to deal with everything in real time so I could feel it, because I know that, you know, the therapy, I had two therapy sessions after my father passed, but those were already booked. You know what I'm saying? So I stopped going after that. And it was therapeutic because it was journaling, but it was like, it wasn't me actually writing in the journal, this is what I did today. It was me looking back and seeing how everything went. And that's the reason that it came out on May 23rd, because my birthday is May 22nd. My brother and I were a birthday gift to my dad. His birthday is May 23rd. So it had to be out. Like, when I decided to write it, it wasn't no rush, but I said, this has to come out. Happy birthday, you know?
And it did. He'd be so proud of you.
Definitely.
Yeah, he'd be so proud of you. So, um, now throughout the book, you there's like this call to action, right? And so there's, you know, different things that you talk about. And so I want to ask you this question for people who have read the book or even for someone who hasn't read it. If you had to name some actual executable tasks that people should do in an effort to not be their own problem and to actually hold themselves accountable, what are some of the things that they need to start doing right now?
Look in the mirror. That it starts at looking in the mirror, because when you look in the mirror and okay, look in the mirror and look at yourself naked, because that's the freest form you go be. Nothing, everything there is there. So you got to look in the mirror and you got to look at yourself and you got to ask yourself, are you who you say you are, and are you who you want to be? And then you go down your checklist. Well, I want to start working out. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want to be this. You got to start going down your checklist. My checklist, everybody's checklist is different. So accountability is a broad statement, but things that I had to hold myself accountable for, other people might have already did that, but it's smaller things that they not holding themselves accountable for. But when you look in that mirror, that man in the mirror go tell you who you are for real, because ain't nobody else there but you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody else. You see it raw. And you mean that like figuratively and literally naked, right?
Yeah, definitely. No, literally,
Okay.
like, because that's how you came into the world. You came into the world without nothing on you to make you fresh, to make you confident, to make you any of that. You know what I'm saying? So when you looking in the mirror at yourself, you getting it raw and uncut. This is who I am. And then you start breaking down your mental barriers. Because for example, if somebody say that they want to work out, or they want to get healthier, but they don't work out, they still smoking. All of these things, when you're looking at yourself, you go see, damn, my lips black, or dang, my stomach. You know what I'm saying? You go see all of these things, and you can't run from them. And when
Uh-huh.
you can't run from the mirror. The mirror go give you exactly what you are. That's your reflection. That's who you are. And once you see who you are, you start breaking down those steps mentally. Well, why don't I work out like I say I want to? Why can't I quit smoking? Why am I addicted to these things? And once you get to asking yourself that, it's all you. It ain't nobody else. All of the things that I discuss in the book, like, nobody made me do anything. I did all of those things on my own. You know what I'm saying? And when I go back and look at that, I know I was doing those things on my own. Now, under the circumstances of why I was doing them things on my own, my judgment could have been clouded and stuff like that. And that's where the accountability come in. Because yes, I did this, but if I would have, like, my favorite, it was all my favorite, right? But in my 21st birthday, I give you a breakdown of exactly how the day that ended me up in jail on my 21st birthday went. It was so many other things that I could have did. I could have asked questions. I could
Ask
have,
the right questions. Yeah.
yeah, I could have asked the right questions. And if I would have asked those right questions from on the phone, then I knew I wouldn't have been there. And
Mm-hmm.
what's funny about that? So I'm talking about that I was on the phone with one of my partners and another partner called. Well, the universe works so crazy. The the partner that I was on the phone with, and he had the twin chicks who never seen twins, and we was go hook up and get with the girls. I just bumped into him because he's the landscaper who cuts my mom's grass.
Oh
Like
wow.
this was the other day. Like uh he was about to come cut. He had cut the grass and he was coming back to cut the bushes. And when he came back to cut the bushes, I was here and he had a mask on. And I'm like, yo, you about to cut the bushes? He was like, yeah, but I need to holler at you. So I gripped up. You need to holler at me about what? You got a mask on. You know what I'm saying? He took off his mask. It was my partner. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that I told him, like, bro, I was just talking about that situation that day. And he remembered that day. He was like, bro, you should have just chilled and waited till I got off. You know, you know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
right, but if I would have asked the right questions, I know 100% for sure I wouldn't have had been in that situation. But my blind loyalty and what I thought was love for people who I thought loved me put me in one of the worst situations in my life. But it was the best situation in my life at the time because through that situation, I actually found individualism since I was an identical twin my whole life. So that's the first time I ever discovered that I was an individual. When I went and they closed that door in that county jail, I had to be Santuan. If somebody came through the door and called me twin, which people did, my cousin was in there, other friends that I knew from the streets was in there. They were calling me twin, and other people wasn't understanding why they was calling me twin because all of these people knew it's Santuan, and that helped me gain my individualism. And I don't know when Antoine discovered his individualism. You know what I'm saying? But we're so not alike, and people don't understand that I'm happy for the individualism, but I'm also thankful that we are identical twins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was probably my favorite chapter. Because it was a reminder to not just ask questions, but to ask the right ones.
Yeah.
Like that was super important. Now, the key word was the right ones, because yeah, without doing that, it can just drastically
Yeah, that the right
change
questions don't
you.
because I had every opportunity before that incident happened where these individuals were whatever happened to them, I had every opportunity to ask. And I don't know why I didn't ask, you know what I'm saying? But I do know why, because we riders, we frontliners, you know what I'm saying? And we all done been on the front line with each other, but just because you're on the front line don't mean that you would take it where I would take it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I understand why I ended up in that situation. I will never end up in that situation again. You can't even ride in the car with me. I'm solo. You know what I'm saying? I'm solo because once you get in the car with me, you're responsible for what's in this car, and I'm responsible for you. And I can't be responsible for another grown man or another grown woman because I don't know what you just did before you got in this car, or I
Mm.
don't know what you into. And if the situation arises, it's self-preservation, you know. So, but that's I like that telling that story because I could tell that story to the youth because I'm also an inspirational speaker, and my target market is really the youth before anything because we trying to build, and I'm also a basketball coach, and I'm building strong adults. I'm not trying to take adults and turn them into strong adults. So that's why I put that chapter in there because I was targeting the youth with that to let them know, like a lot of us are I've been in that situation. I've been there. I've been loyal to the soil. I've been all of those things. This is where those things could potentially get you. I'm just one of the few people who it didn't end up bad. And that's because we had money to pay for lawyers. We had the blessing of the Most High. We had all of these things in our favor. So that's why I didn't. The year that happened with me, the detective that was on my case got several people life sentences and 20-year sentences that year. I was the only one who didn't go to prison from a serious case that he was on. And that happened because through one of my cousins had a lawyer team, Crips and Silvers, and Crips and Silver uh, actually was this cop's friend. So he knew he couldn't railroad me. When that situation happened, I had no clue who Crips and Silver was. I didn't even meet them until the situation had occurred, and we got the family lawyer. We made them a powerhouse through the family because of cases that they fought through us.
Man, you definitely had some stories in there. And for everyone who is tuning in with us, you guys, this is Book Banter with author S.L. Jackson. He is the author of Your Problem. We're gonna pull the cover of the book up for you guys to see, so that when you, yep, there it is. And I think we have it that we can pull up on the screen for you as well, so that when you are out and about, you you like, oh, let me see something new, I'm gonna pull up or whatever, then you'll know which cover that you need to go ahead and grab up. And we can grab up a copy of your book right now. Where exactly would you prefer that they?
Well, it's on Amazon. It's only on Amazon, and the
Okay.
reason is because I didn't want it scattered. And you go over here, you go over here. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it there. Or if you prefer the paperback, you can order that. If you order a paperback and bump into me, I sign it. Or you can send it to me, I sign it and send it back. I'm gonna start doing author events like so. In 2020, when Animal Instinct: The Urban Jungle came out. That came out March 3rd. The world shut down after that. So I didn't get into my author groove. I didn't get a chance to get into my author groove. So then when I started releasing the other books, I kind of was in, I don't need to do that type of mode because I wasn't in that mode as the momentum wasn't built. Like it was momentum for book sales there, but I haven't been to any author events and stuff like that. So I'm about to start doing that. And then when I start, when I'm booked for public speaking events, I definitely will have Your Problem, because the calling is Your Problem. That's not my purpose. That's my calling, to let people know about accountability, because that's the hardest thing for somebody to take. You know what I'm saying? Is accountability. And a lot of people will manipulate you to have you think they're taking accountability, but when they look in the mirror, they laugh because they know they ain't taking accountability for nothing.
Yeah, and there's a phrase that you use: freedom and accountability.
Yeah, so once you start taking accountability, I know from firsthand, it opens up your whole world. You free, nothing's holding you back. You don't got no secrets. That's why I told you pre-recording that we could talk about anything that's in the book, because that's why it's in the book, so I could show my, see, it's the truth and then there's transparency. Those are two different things. Someone can tell you the truth and not be transparent at all, and I had to be transparent with this because I needed that freedom to allow my world to open up, and that's exactly what it's been doing. So like I said, I was on a downward spiral before I wrote this book. Lost my job. I had a trucking business. Truck got crashed. Filed for divorce, bankruptcy, super downward spiral. Since I released this book, everything's been on the up. Found another gig where I could do the deliveries. The bankruptcy is going well. Everything is going in my favor with everything that I was going through. So it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't able to open up. And again, it just gave me that freedom, that breath of fresh air, that if I could start over knowing what I know now, this is what I would do. Well, the universe loves a stubborn heart. It gave me the opportunity to start over. This is my starting over. It's no fair for anything that's in my way.
I know that's right. Listen, when you hit the bottom, it ain't no place else to go but up. You know,
Right, right.
so
And that's
it
why I'm
but up.
thankful that all of those things had. The only thing that I'm not thankful for is that my dad passed away, because
Oh,
you got to deal with grief, then you deal with all of that. But that's the only thing that happened that I'm like, damn, I wish that would have never happened. But everything else, but I guess it lined up perfect because I get to talk about in my next book, because what Your Problem, A Path to Accountability and Self-Healing is actually a springboard for me writing more self-inspiration books. People call it self-help, but this is inspiration. So every chapter is actually going to be its own book. So the things that I talk about and you weren't good enough, I got a bunch of stories like that. The things that I talk about in my 21st birthday, I got a bunch of stories like that. I got a bunch of all of these stories. The only stories that I don't got a bunch of is creation, but I have a bunch of stories about sexualizing young men and what they're taught coming up. Because just to be honest, like, young men aren't taught to value their sexuality, their who they are as young men. You know, you got you macho if you knocking everything down and all of that. That's the farthest thing from the truth. You just as important as this young lady, because life starts with you. And when I say life starts with you, it starts at the bottom of your nuts. If there's no you never see guys going to clinics to have babies. Women go to fertility clinics and they get sperm donors and all of that, and that sperm has to come out of somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So life starts with you, young man. So you are just as important. And nobody ever told me that. I grew up on Willie D. I grew up on Snoop Dogg. Like, you know, Snoop Dogg was telling us bitches ain't shit, but he's married
Oh,
to the same lady that he was with back then, and they have grandchildren. So if
yeah.
I'm growing up an impressionable 10-year, I've been listening to rap since I was a kid. I was rapping at 10. So I've been listening to rap since the NWA days before that. But like, so if I'm growing up thinking B's ain't S and I'm meeting good women and they don't fall into this category of B's ain't S, because some not, you know what I'm saying? But I'm impressionable. I'm 10 years old. I don't know the difference between a woman and a B at the time. So I'm thinking anything with a vagina is a B, right? So a lot of people were hurt by that. I got tons of stories like that where I probably hurt good women. So that would replace the creation chapter in the book when I start spinning off and writing these books for self-inspiration and self-healing.
I think that's going to be game changing. And it's really necessary because I think that sometimes we believe that, well, that's how we came up and that's just how it was, that it was okay. And it just never was. And I think it just took us a while to realize and own and be accountable for the fact that the things that were being taught to us through the music, through film and whatnot, that it wasn't okay.
Right. And you got to remember, like, these companies and these people, these adults, they understand how impressionable and undeveloped a child's brain is. That's why they push stuff to the youth. Like, it's not no more kid stars. So kids don't even have another kid to listen to. Like, Shelby can't listen to rap music around me. Like, at first, like, I used to let her cuss in the house and it was cool. And one day I let her listen to Tupac Hit 'Em Up, right? And she was geeked. She was amped. She, why you talk about Biggie like that? Blah, blah, blah. And then as I'm going on my journey, one day she got in the car and asked to listen to Hit 'Em Up on the way to school. And I'm like, no, because you gonna go to school and you gonna be thinking Hit 'Em Up. You know what I'm saying? And that was the moment that I'm like, no, we can't listen to no rap music. So now I'll play some Prince or some Sade in the ride with her, but that I don't listen to the radio with her in the car or none of that, because I know how impressionable that is on a young mind. So I don't want, I'm developing the mind to change the world, not to be a part of the world and damage it any further.
Listen, and that ties right into your book on accountability. You know, recognizing like, okay, this is probably something I need to change right now. Let me go ahead and do that, and you did it. You know,
For
it was
sure.
figuratively standing in the mirror, like, yeah, I'm gonna need to change this. If
Definitely.
if I want this different outcome, then I have to change this behavior right here. So I'm absolutely loving that. And this is a topic that I love to see men, especially black men, having. I'm so glad that you are willing to have this conversation with me. But of course, I know that you're having the conversation with the other men and the youth. And I just want to thank you
Appreciate that.
for being willing to lend your voice to something that's so important and so necessary right now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So
Yeah.
tell me
So
some other things that you read in the book that you would want to talk about, because like it's so much in the book and it's so short and impactful that it's not overwhelming, but it's an impact.
it is an impact. So about the flowers, right? So when you say people like flowers,
Yeah,
so
flowers are dead. The
yes, they
moment,
bring joy, they bring happiness, but from the very moment that they're plucked, they're going to die. And so you have to be prepared for that. So it's like you know how they say make sure you take time to smell the roses. And
yeah.
it's kind of like that same thing where enjoy the flowers, enjoy the people that surround you because it's inevitable that
So yeah,
they're not going to be here.
everybody you meet go lead your life.
Yeah.
Everybody you meet,
Yeah.
and like, so flowers are dead. That chapter, that portion of the book was very deep to me, because I never realized that I wasn't done grieving my grandfather's death until I started therapy. And one day in therapy, can't even remember what we was talking about, but I just broke down. And what made me realize that I never really grieved my grandfather's death, because he died in 1996. He died December 1st, 1996. And from 1996 up until my grandmother moved out her house, I could count on my hand how many times I walked down the hallway that their room and that their bathroom was down. But I didn't realize that, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather was my grandfather. So the way I seen him is totally different than how my dad seen him, because it's my mother's father. But my dad had a different vision of him. My mom had a different vision of him. But all the things that he taught me and my brother, I don't know what he taught the other grandchildren. I just know what he taught and how he treated me and my brother and my sister. And like, biologically, I'm his oldest grandson. And that means that when my grandmother met him, she already had kids, and those kids had kids before my mother. But the first branch of his family tree as grandkids, I'm the oldest grandson. My sister's the oldest granddaughter. So I didn't look at things like that. You know what I'm saying? So all the things that he taught me, he taught us gardening. He taught me that if you got your own money, you pay your own way, you do what you want to do, because can't nobody tell you no. And those things are things that I teach my daughter, and that's why she's the entrepreneur that she is. But like, more importantly, I see my mom teaching my daughter gardening. I know where she got that from. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mm-hmm.
like that in a relationship. But like, they gardening in little buckets and stuff like that. We was gardening on a small plantation, if you will, because that's how it looked for a kid. And then I understood the value of seeds growing. I understood the value in the saying, the fruit don't fall far from the tree. See, people might say that, but they didn't grow up with apple trees. So they don't know that the fruit fall right there. And if that fruit stay there long enough, it's going to go back into the soil when it rot. And the rotten fruit go bring bees. And that's how you find out if you're allergic to bees or not, because you throwing apples at the cars passing on the road. So the fruit don't fall far from the tree. That's real. But if you never even seen a fruit tree, you just repeating what somebody said to you. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
then I realized that naturally you could eat with me. And what I mean by that is, I planted the seeds, I watched the food grow, I picked the food, and the food fed the community. Because if you were hungry, you can come to Ronald Legion's garden and you could go in there and pick some food. But my grandfather also sold that food when he went to his regular job. That means he was an entrepreneur. And I realized stuff like that when I was working the plant life. He worked in the plant longer than I was alive at some point, right? So when I used to be at work working at the plant, and people would be like to other people, "Hey, when them tomatoes gonna be ready or whatever?" Oh, that used to be my granddad that I was talking to, because I was the dude planting the tomatoes and picking them, and then he's going to sell bushels of tomatoes at work. So we full circle moments when I think about my grandfather, like, oh, that's generational wealth. He taught
Mm-hmm.
me a skill that I will always be able to make money from, but it wasn't just the skill of gardening, it was what came along with it. Because when you gardening, I could take any dirt and roll it to and get the little machine or the shovel or the hoe and make it where we could grow whatever needs to be grown here. And that's the skill that he taught me, the process of life, because the seeds grow, the seeds feed. Then and then another story in Flowers Are Dead was about my first friend who got murdered. That I was older, and that's Robert Dunlap. He died March 7th, 1999, and that hurt because he was murdered. See, my grandfather died. That's different, you know what I'm saying? But to have a friend who was murdered, and I just had seen him a couple hours before that, and that was really heavy, and that turned me into an animal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember going to school after that with a pistol, ready to do something. And these people had nothing to do with my friend being murdered, but my mind state was so blown, and there was nobody to talk to that wasn't feeling like I was feeling. Because by the time 10th grade came, me and my brother were completely out the house. I didn't live with my mom. I lived with some of the older fellas or whatever, some of the older homies, but I'm paying my way. I don't just live here, so I got to say so on what go on. So I got guns, I sell drugs, I do what I want to do, but I go to school and I get all A's. But those same friends never told me about the ACT. You feel what I'm saying? So it was like, I was grown, but I was still a kid. I was grown. I was a kid thinking I was grown, and things that adults should have been telling me because they already seen what it was with us. That didn't happen, and I'm not mad at that. It's just when I look back, oh, if I had a little young dog in that position with me, I would tell him like, you go do what you want to do. I can't tell you not to sell drugs. I can't tell you not to have a gun. But you smart, man. You could go to college. You take the ACT. So even when I found out about the ACT, I took the ACT after a wild night of partying and I scored high on it. And I didn't even understand the scoring system. So when they told me and my brother that we had a 17, 18, we like, damn, not knowing that, yo, you can go to any college you want. Like the first college application I filled out was to Savannah State University. I got accepted with no ACT off transcripts alone. I graduated like 30th, 29th in the class, 29th or 30th in the class.
My God.
You feel what I'm saying? With no effort. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even put thought into school as much. I've never studied for a test a day in my life to this day. If I'm going to do something, yeah, I've never studied. So knowing all of those things that I know now, like, oh, you could have I could have been a doctor if I wanted to. Not saying that I regret not going to college or none of that, because I eventually went. I got a degree in information technology and technical writing, which I never used. I just got the degree. It's when I look at it, it's just a big receipt on my mom's wall to remind me that I owe student loans. That's how I look at my degree.
Listen, listen. Okay, now we're running a little short on time because we've had us a great time discussing, and you told me that the dog was gonna have to have a debut, a little moment because he's the window dog. You got to tell us about the dog. Okay,
Well,
just
Charlie, his name is Charlie. He's a Shih Tzu. He's my emotional support animal. If Charlie can't come in, I can't come over. That keep me out of a lot of places. But
mhm.
a cool fact about Charlie. So Charlie is my dog, and Charlie has a daughter. Her name is Cookie, and Cookie is my daughter's dog.
I love
So
this
yeah,
much.
yeah,
I was
Charlie.
gonna. He feel like coming on camera. Say hi.
Yeah, this is
Hey, oh,
Charlie. You know what I'm saying? And we roll. That's my man's. And what I like about Charlie is like Charlie got the experience to live with both my mother and my father, because at one point I was living somewhere and Charlie couldn't go, and he lived with my dad, and then he gets the chance to live with my mom right now. So like Charlie, they both love Charlie, and I get to see that. So that's dope, because my dad was an animal person. That's how we had Hera and Zeus. They were boxers, and people don't know, if they don't know, boxers stand up on their hind legs when they're getting ready to attack and ready to box you. So referring back to Animal Instinct, the Urban Jungle, we got boxers in there, and those boxers actually run a dog fighting ring at a speakeasy that the rabbits run. So like, but
listen, you got the stories for sure. Okay, listen. So everyone, we're coming to a close, unfortunately, because it's been such a great conversation, you guys. Author S.L. Jackson has been here with us on this evening. Now, our main focus was your problem. That is his most recent book that dropped, but he has a collection of other books that you guys will probably definitely enjoy. I love the fact that you have a range. You know, that everything is not nonfiction. You got some fiction there, you got some fantasy in there. And so I'm so glad that there's a variety to choose from in order for us to support you. And so, before we head out for the evening, I want you to make sure that everyone knows where they can find you on social media and the best ways to contact you.
well, if you want to find me, you can find all of my handles on my website, booksljackson.com. That's booksljackson.com, all one word, and everything you're looking for is there. And I even have a contact page where you can actually contact me and leave a message on there. I get it as soon as you leave it. I did want to say, though, one of the you weren't good enough. You weren't good enough. That chapter, me and my mom discussed that chapter after she read it, and she apologized for telling
Mm,
us that we weren't good enough. And I told her, no, you don't need to apologize. That was actually the best thing that you could have did for us at that time, because you recognized that we weren't good enough, and you gave us all the tools to become better. And she's once she's seen it from that angle, I could see it in her face that she felt better.
yeah,
So the book opens up, like, if you hear your mom tell you you weren't good enough when you're crying, a lot of people would think that that's harsh, but she's just a product of her mother. My mother and father were married when they had me and my brother, and they were 20 and 20. She was turning 20 and my dad was turning 21 the next day. They had been together since she was kids. So my mom had been out the house since she was 15, 16 years old. So when I look back at that and realized that I was out the house at the same age, that was just part of what was known to happen in our family. And if my grandfather felt like she was strong enough to leave, why wouldn't she feel like we were strong enough to leave? Now, to me, Shelby never has to leave the house. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me being the dad that I am, because I'm a helicopter dad. That means I hover over with protection, but I need her to go see the world. But I would never want her in any of the situations that I was in with other 15, 16-year-old girls. So, but overall, You're Your Problem, A Path to Accountability and Self-Healing is a great read, not just because I read it, but because I read the genre and I understand what the genre calls for. And then by it being this time of mental health and all of that, a lot of people will see that they're not fighting demons. They don't got mental health issues. They really just need to look in the mirror and take accountability for the things that they've done or the pain that they've caused. That's what really need to happen. And a lot of things will be, it'll flow a lot smoother. And I appreciate you having me. Again, that's book.sljackson.com. If you want to get in contact with me, all my social media handles are on there. If anybody want to book me, because like I said, I'm an inspirational speaker, because me and my brother, we don't use the word motivation, because the derivative word in motivation.
I feel like he was about to say the derivative word is motive. So I don't know what just happened. You know how technology go, y'all. You hear 1 minute, you're gone the next. You know the things. But again, we do want to encourage everyone to make sure that if you have not grabbed up your copy of Your Problem, then you make sure that you go over there and you do that. And then you know what else you can do? You can make sure that you share, like, and subscribe to Tam Telling Tales on all social media platforms. If you are just, getting introduced to me, then just know that I'm here with my commentary on books and on film. I love doing this thing. So make sure that you are checking me out, all of the content that is out there. And it does look like SL is back in the building. There he is.
Yeah, sorry about that little technical difficulties,
Oh
but
no, you're fine. So we pretty much gotten through encouraging everybody to make sure they are grabbing up copies of your book, that they are supporting you, that they are supporting me. And so the last thing for us to do is the sign off. Okay. And so you may or may not remember it from, the Podskers. So I'll just go ahead and remind you. So it's really easy, and I do need you to help me out with it. So I do the first part. I say, I'm Tam. I'm telling tales. And then you say to the camera, read a book.
for sure.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, you guys. I'm Tam. I'm telling tales.
And I'm SL Jackson. Read a book.
Good night.
Thank you for having
me. I got it. Tam Telling Tales. I got it. Tam Telling Tales. I got it. Tam Telling Tales. I got it. Tongue twister. Say it real fast one time. Tam Telling Tales.